Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Path to Profit. Today we're talking about something that a lot of business owners try to ignore and or truly just don't understand at all. And my hope is that after this episode, you will understand. We're going to be talking about scaling and ultimately what scaling actually means. But most importantly, I want you guys to know that you cannot scale a broken business. And you may not see your business as being broken, but a lot of businesses are broken. And until you fix the things that are broken in that business, scaling is going to be hard and or impossible, okay? So, I know that scaling sounds super exciting. It sounds like the thing that you're supposed to do in business because it means you're making more sales, it means that you're getting more customers, it means that you're making more revenue. But the truth is, more traffic will not fix a business that does not convert. More inventory won't help if you don't know how to sell the inventory that you already have. And more ads won't solve a business with no brand, no audience, and or no strategy. So a lot of times when people are trying to scale, they start doing more. They start driving more traffic. They start producing more content. They hire help. They are running more ads. They're buying more inventory. They're doing more because that is what it sounds like you're supposed to do if you're trying to scale a business. But in all actuality, when there are things that are not intact, and again, when there are things that are broken, you break your business even more. So, scaling only works when the foundation of your business is super solid. If your marketing, operations, or customer experience are broken, scaling will only make the problems worse. It will literally amplify, like it will illuminate all the problems in your business. Ask me how I know. Been there, done that. Okay. I will never forget my first six-figure month. Actually, no, that's a lie. My first $200,000 month was also a month where I had a six-figure week. And let me tell you, it has never happened again because it hurt so bad. Scaling, mm-mm. No, I still want to scale my business, but I don't have to scale it to six figures in a week at all. So we're going to talk all about it today. By the end of this episode, you're going to know what scaling actually means because most people have no idea. They use that word all wrong. We're going to talk about the key signs that your business isn't ready to scale just yet, the foundational pieces that you need in place before you focus on this type of growth. And then lastly, how to fix what's broken so scaling will actually, in fact, work for you. So, first, we have to define what scaling actually is because a lot of people think it's just making more sales. That is not scaling. Scaling isn't just about making more money. It's actually about increasing your revenue without increasing your spending or your expenses, without increasing stress, workload, problems, so on and so forth. For a lot of people who are attempting to scale their business, they actually end up increasing their expenses, increasing their stress, having to work significantly longer and harder, and they create more problems in the business. So, scaling actually means that your business can handle more orders without things breaking or more clients without things breaking. It means that you have a system in place so you're not working harder for every dollar that you make. You should actually feel a little bit more at peace, or things should be able to stay at the rate or at the pace that they're running at without you having to do more. And lastly, when you're scaling, you're growing in a way that's sustainable and profitable. So if you're losing more money in an effort to make more sales, you are not, in fact, scaling. So most business owners actually are trying to scale way too soon. And instead of making more money, they actually end up creating significantly bigger problems. And like I said, I've been through it. I've worked with people who did it to themselves, and we were working together to fix the things that broke even worse than they were already broken. So hopefully through this episode, you will learn how not to put yourself in that predicament. So if you're trying to grow, but things feel chaotic or random or just not going the way that you want them to go, it's probably because your foundation isn't ready to scale yet. So I want to share 5 signs that your business isn't ready to scale so that again you can identify for yourself whether or not scaling should be a top of mind thing that you're thinking about. So the first sign is going to be that your sales are inconsistent. If you don't have predictable sales right now, scaling will not fix that. So if you're going to go spend some more money on ads or hire a bunch of influencers or whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. If the sales weren't consistent to begin with, you spending more money in the business likely will not make them consistent. It will likely just make your revenue more unstable because now you have a bunch of different places where revenue can come from. You have a lot more platforms that you have to focus on, or more people that you have to focus on, which means that your time and your energy and sometimes your money is split across a multitude of things, which doesn't typically scale very well. The second sign is that you don't have a system in place for attracting customers. If you don't have a actual customer acquisition strategy working and running in your business, scaling should not be a thought currently. If your sales come from random places, social media posts one moment, then you go a few days without sales, and then some word of mouth gets you a few sales, and then you have a one-time promotion or a flash sale, that would mean that you don't have a real marketing strategy. And that just goes back to the inconsistent sales, because if you had a real marketing strategy, your sales would likely be consistent, which would mean that you have something that is worthy of scaling. The third sign is that your inventory management is all over the place, or you don't have any inventory management happening in your business. So if you're constantly either running out of products super fast, or if you're sitting on a bunch of inventory that won't sell, or that you don't know how to sell, or that you have no plan for how to sell, scaling will only make that problem bigger and more stressful. So don't do that to yourself. The fourth sign is your website and your customer experience aren't optimized. So let's say, for example, you're driving a lot of traffic to your website, but that website doesn't convert well currently. Adding more traffic is not going to help you. And I see this happen so often. People say, I don't get enough traffic, I'm going to run ads. And the logic there makes sense, but it only makes the most sense if the traffic that you're getting is converting. Your conversion rate needs to be at least 2%. One is me being generous. If it's below 1%, there is truly an ad will likely not help you, because this tells us a lot about your organic efforts. And you're basically going to end up taking your organic content and putting it into an ad. If it's not working organically, it's likely not going to work as an ad either. Okay. So don't add more traffic. It'll just mean more visitors who don't buy. And you're going to be even more upset than you were with the low traffic. And then the fifth sign is you're constantly reacting instead of planning ahead. If your business feels like one long emergency, like it's just always dire desperation and need to figure it out, scaling will only make you feel even more overwhelmed. You will add more things to your business and frustrate yourself more. It makes so much more sense for you to look at what's already on your plate and figure out how to make those things work to your advantage, how to make those things work together to get you a pleasing result. Do not add other things to your plate when the things already on your plate are not working. So if any of these sound familiar to you, it means there's work to do before you focus on growth. Because the truth is, scaling isn't about doing more, it's about doing better at the things that you were already doing well. Let me say that again. Scaling isn't about doing more, it's about doing better at the things that you were already doing well. So if you're not doing anything well, there is nothing that you should be trying to scale. You should be focused on figuring out how to make those things work so that your next stage can be growth, and then after growth being scaling. Okay. So now I want to tell you how to get in a place where you're fixing what's broken before you attempt to scale. Instead of trying to grow on top of a weak foundation, you want to focus on fixing the broken parts of your business first. And this is going to require you to be very honest with yourself, because there's a lot of people who come to me and they say, I don't think it's that bad, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or they don't disclose very important information. And then when they do disclose it, or when I dig deeper and I find the issues, I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? They're like, oh, well, I didn't think that it was going to be important. It's all important, my friend. So here's what to focus on before you scale. Number one, you need a repeatable marketing system, something that you can do over and over again that produces a predictable result. You need to at least get to a place where marketing is a job to you. And I know that sounds terrible, because nobody wants another job when you're already working a job. But marketing needs to be a job in the business until you get to a place where I don't want to say runs on autopilot, but until you get to a place where there's a lot of components of it that are automated. Marketing is a job. So if you don't have a strategy for attracting and also converting customers, growth will always feel unpredictable. You need to get to a place where the marketing that you're doing organically is predictable to some degree so that you can say, okay, it makes sense for me to scale this because it's working. The second thing is optimize your website for conversion. Optimize is just a fancy word for improve it, make it better. One of the biggest things I see on people's websites is that they just don't update it. It literally is like a museum. It never changes. Nothing ever gets moved. Nothing gets rearranged. The hero banner at the top of the website never gets updated. That's insane. Your website should be treated like an employee. It should not come to work and look the same every single day. It should not have on the same outfit every day that it comes to work. And that's not to say that you should have to update your website every day, but you do want to update it regularly. So if your website isn't designed to turn visitors into buyers, scaling won't help you. It'll just mean that more people will not buy. The third thing you want to do is get control of your inventory. You got to make sure that you know your numbers. Track what's selling, track your profit margins, track where you're losing money or things that are not selling. And ultimately, you want to have a plan for what to restock and also what to let go of, because one of the biggest reasons why a lot of businesses fail is simply because they hold on to products that should have been let go of. They hold on to things that they shouldn't have kept because they're emotionally attached to it, instead of being honest with themselves and saying, "Hey, I made a mistake. My audience doesn't like this. Let's just go ahead and let this go. Let's discount it and make our money back." So my accountant always would say to me, "It is better to make some of your money back than to make none of your money back." So figure out how to make some of that money back first things first. The fourth thing is improving your customer experience. So make sure your shipping, your packaging, and your communication are all on point. When and if something goes wrong, do not leave people hanging. Communicate. Let them know what went wrong. One of my students in my program, she just had an issue with some products. She manufactures her own products, and she sold them over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and she pre-sold them. So she did a pre-sale. Well, the package got to her, and lo and behold, it was a totally different color. And this was a product that she had sold 3 times before. So she didn't expect there to be any issues the fourth time around. But for some strange reason, her supplier sent her a totally different color. So instead of her not communicating that information, she immediately reached out to her audience and gave them solutions. Hey, this is what happened. If you would like a refund, please let us know. She handled that first before trying to sell the rest of her things, because it would not have made sense for her to try to continue to scale or increase her sales when she was having a customer experience issue. So you have to prioritize the shipping, the packaging, the communication, and all of those things, because scaling a business with bad customer experience will only lead to more unhappy customers, and you don't want no unhappy customers in your comments or in your reviews or in your DMs or underneath your ads. Trust me, you do not want that. The fifth thing is create a system for repeat customers. Growth doesn't just come from new customers. And this is a large misconception that so many people have. They think, I just need new customers. I just need new customers. Scaling and growth, I'm going to start with growth. Growth actually comes from getting past customers to buy again. That should be your very, very first um, thing that you're focused on. How do I get people who've already purchased from me to purchase from me again? Because somebody who has already purchased from you is already familiar with your customer experience, already familiar with your packaging, your shipping, so on and so forth. It should be easier for you to get them to come back, and also easier for you to get them to spend more money. So when and if you don't have a retention strategy in place, scaling is going to feel like you're always chasing new sales instead of building long-term success. You do not want to create a business that is overly reliant on acquiring new customers. A large amount of your revenue should be coming from return customers, but the only way for you to ensure that, or ensure of that, is to ensure that you have a retention strategy in place. So this is honestly why I created my program, E-commerce Profit Plan, because so many business owners try to scale before they fix the foundational problems in their business. And then as a result, they wonder why they're stressed, overwhelmed, and not making the money that they expected, why they're inventory is piling up, while the ads are not converting, while the website that they got professionally built is not producing any sales, it's because you're trying to build a business on a weak foundation or a non-existent foundation. And so inside my program, we fix what's broken first, and then we build a system that actually is scalable. And ultimately, that's how our students are able to hit these consistent five figure months and six-figure years, and so on and so forth. So that's my little pitch for the day. Anyway, moving on. So honestly, once you have these things in place, then you can start scaling because you now have a business that works. You do not want to try to scale a business that does not work. So let me tell you what smart scaling looks like. Once your business is working, the sales are consistent, the marketing strategies and the retention strategies and all the things are in place, you can start adding in paid ads to that business because it's already converting. You can start amplifying what works because if it works, adding ads is literally like pouring gasoline on a fire. It's going to burn bigger and better. So add the paid ads in, then do not waste your money on ads when you have a weak foundation in place. You can also expand your product line more strategically instead of just adding more inventory and hoping that it sells. You're going to have a business that has data that supports your inventory decisions and your pricing decisions instead of you saying, I hope that this next product is the right one. You're also going to be able to hire a team to take over repeatable tasks. So instead of you having to be the person doing all the things, you're going to be able to focus on the actual growth of your business while somebody else performs the task that would help you to grow the business. And then the last thing is that you'll be able to use your data to make better decisions. Instead of you guessing what will sell or what is going to work in the marketing, you can literally look at your data and say, I already know what works because I've seen it work. The data supports this action that I'm about to take. So scaling, in my opinion, and I would say in most people who teach business, in their opinion, scaling should feel like growth. It should be happy. It should be a happy thing. You should not feel like you're drowning. So if growth is stressing you out, it's a sign that something needs to be fixed before you scale further. And again, ask me. I can tell you. I have had plenty of instances in my 7 years of entrepreneurship where I was like, okay, I'm ready to scale. And then I started scaling and I was like, I'm drowning. Get me out of here. So I always think about that, okay? So again, scaling isn't just about making more sales. It's really about growing in a way that's sustainable and profitable. And if your business has broken systems or it lacks strategy, trying to scale it is only going to make your problems worse. Do not try to add more ads, more inventory, more content, more without fixing the problems first. So you have to ensure that you're focused on fixing the foundation of your business, which are your marketing, your website, your inventory, your customer experience, so on and so forth, so that you put yourself in a position to be able to scale that business reasonably and predictably. So again, if you're ready to build a business that actually works so that you can create a business that is scalable, join EPP. As always, I'll put the link in the show notes if you're interested in learning more. If you have any questions about what we discussed in today's episode or any questions about EPP, hit me up on Instagram or send me an email. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And I will not see you, but talk to you in the next one. All right, guys. See ya.